like, oh my gosh, where am I possibly going to find claims? I don't have any friends. I don't have any neighbors. I live in a hole in the wall. I don't go to church. I don't go to the gym. I don't go socializing. Nobody loves me. Nobody likes me. Guess I'll go eat worms. So, everybody's got that kind of a sense about them. And you know what? I'm okay with that. You may actually be eating worms, but I doubt it. I really do. I think probably you know more people than you think you do. I think if I were to steal your cell phone, I think you probably have at least 10 contacts listed in your phone. And I'll bet you've got probably closer to 300. Oh, yeah, you do. So you have people, but you don't necessarily know. What you're really telling me is I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know how to start off a conversation with them. And that's okay. You're going to learn it. And as long as you're willing and open to learning something new, you're going to do fine in here. If you are not open to changing the way you operate and changing who you are, I got one question for you. If how you are has currently led you to how much you earn today, what makes you think that how you are is going to let you earn $100,000?
Right.
Right? It may not be nice to hear. And for those of you who don't know me, I am not politically correct. I kind of just tell things the way they are. And some people like that, and some people really, really don't. And I apologize if you don't, but suck it up. You have to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to change.
Love that.
So I'm going to, Robert, Mike, Les, all of us who are trainers want to help you make changes. You just have to be willing to do it and to trust us that what we ask is something that you can do. Okay? That's all.
Yeah.
And if we can work on that, you will earn $100,000. You will change the way you live, and you will change the legacy of your family. You can do that with Metro. I know. When I started off with this company, I was in a position where I had almost, within about 6 months, I had to sell my car to pay rent so that my 3 daughters and I would have a house to live in, because my ex-wife had stolen all of our money. So
Wow.
I had nothing. I had been a millionaire. I had never been broke. This was the first time in my life I was completely broke. I didn't even have enough money to pay rent that month. So I sold my car so that I could pay rent. That's where I was when I started off with Metro. I was 6 months from there, from that single point. So I was basically in the same position. I'll tell you now, I have a 6-figure income. I've got a roof over my, I don't worry about money like I did. Yeah, I think now, based on having had that experience, I'll always worry about it a little bit. Whereas before that experience, I didn't even balance my checkbook. I'll be honest with you. For the first 50 years of my life, I never balanced my checkbook. I always had enough money. I always had, and this may seem silly to you, but I always had an extra $20,000 in the bank. I just had it. So that changed my life, and it changed my ability to talk to people. I now understand somebody who's broke because now I've been there. But I can tell you, this company can raise you up because it's done that for me. And so I have no doubt it can do it for you. You just have to be willing to change and be willing to do the things that maybe you haven't been willing to do in the past. So what we want to do today is really understand how to get personal claims. We're going to go through some of the techniques, and we're going to talk about some of the things that work and don't work. And I'm going to ask Mike, Robert, Les, Joe, I think you've got enough claims under you that you could probably help out on that too. But have some of the people who've done some of this, Ron, you might have enough that you can help out a little bit, but talk about what has worked and what hasn't worked for you in some of your cases. The bottom line is that activity equals claims. Most people, I've had, let me take that back. I've had people come up to me and say, Paul, you're working with a scam. It doesn't work. There's no way. I've been working this thing for 3 months. I can't find any claims and you're full of crap. Okay. Tell me, what does a work day look like for you? What are you doing? I don't know. Exactly. If you were working, you would know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Are you making telephone calls? How many telephone calls did you make today? Well, I don't have anybody to call. Okay, then open up a telephone book or open up a realtor's page. Call somebody. Okay. You're not working. Most people at Metro work probably an average of 30 minutes a day. And that's why they're not on the leaderboard. Okay.
That's an average.
What's that?
That's an average. That's average. Most people do. Really, that's all.
Yeah, and they're not being productive because of that. No, that's not a good thing, Melissa. I'm not saying that is a good thing.
I was just surprised that people would want to put more effort into it.
You would think so, but for some reason they don't. I don't get this. This is such a great opportunity, and we're actually paying for your training, so that no money actually has to come out of your pocket. Mm-hmm. And I have people that ghost me. I'll hire them and then I'll never hear from them again. It's like, why? I don't understand. So you actually have to work. I know that's maybe a 4-letter word for you, but you do have to do it. It doesn't mean you have to work, 80 hours a week like I did when I was working in the high tech world, but it means you have to do something every day. So what is it that you're willing to do every day? Write it down. And then here's the key. There's nobody else who's going to hold you accountable other than yourself. That's a tough one, guys, because you've always had a boss.
Yeah.
Or you've had a mama. Okay. But you've had somebody who was holding you accountable. You are going to have to learn how to hold yourself accountable. Now, let's say, for example, you can't do it. Let's say you're Mike Proto and you can't do it. I just can't hold myself accountable. I don't even know how to grow a beard. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So what do you do in that case? Then what you do in that case is you say, hey, Paul, listen, I'm having a hard time holding myself accountable. I'm having a hard time setting up and working for 2 hours a day, because that's what my goal is to work 2 hours a day. I can't seem to be doing it. Can you help me? Guess what my answer is going to be? Yes, I can help you. All right. And we will work together in developing the skills so that you can hold yourself accountable and you don't need me. My goal for every one of you is to not need me. Robert doesn't need me, and he knows it. But he's self-sufficient now, completely self-sufficient. There was a time where he was calling me every day of the week with a question. He had something that he needed to know what to do. What's that? I didn't realize that you saw that. But Robert doesn't need that kind of oversight anymore. He's completely independent. And that's my goal for all of you guys, is to be able to have the skill sets so that you can run this thing completely on your own. But you've got to be able to run, you've got to be able to work. And setting appointments is the first activity. That's your first task. I had a long conversation with Melissa today about the fact she's got one PCR scheduled for next week, or it's 2 weeks out, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 28th.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. That's way too long. So I told her she needed to schedule some more now. Okay. She wants to get going. She's hungry. I love that. I love that. She's talking to me almost every day. She's sending me an email. She's setting up an appointment. She's all
Don't
over
block
me.
Paul. I need you. Don't block me.
Oh my gosh. But you know what? Do you hear me complaining? No, I'm excited because of it. Les did the same thing. She would call me, she would text me, she would say, "Hey, Paul, I know I asked this about 3 hours ago, but I didn't get an answer. Can you really answer me now, please? Now, please?" You know, that's good. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Okay.
By the way, Paul, just to update you, I did print those documents for my license and I've got the forms almost complete. I just need to hear back from Jan about a couple things and then I'm going to send them off to her. So yay.
Do you hear that excitement, guys?
I'm excited.
Let's do that. There's nothing wrong with being excited like that. That's okay. It's cool. It's good. It's not a bad thing. All right. This is fun work. This is not serious work. Well, it is when somebody gets hurt, like what Les, was talking about. But for the most part, we have a lot of fun here. This is a good time, but it requires you to do your part. What is your part? Initially, as a trainee, it's setting up appointments. It's setting up the appointments so that we can help you earn some money. All I ask is you set up the appointment. I will do everything from there. I'll do everything. And well, I'm not going to write the check. Metro will write the check, but it comes out of my earnings, by the way. Okay. So I'm participating in that, but just set up the appointment. Who does the appointment have to be with? Well, let's talk about that because it doesn't have to be necessarily with a homeowner, but you got to organize your schedule. And about 20% of your time should be on the phone, talking to people, or if not on the phone, on the internet, talking with people. Mike does a great job of working with TikTok. Mike Proto does a lot of his lead generation. A lot of his claims are now coming through his TikTok.
Wow.
That's different.
It is, isn't it?
I only recently got on TikTok and yeah.
So Mike, you are not an overnight success. Am I correct in saying that?
No, definitely not. It takes time and you have to be patient because you just never know how these algorithms work. But I had a video that got 570,000 views recently. And all of a sudden people started answering my survey that's in my bio and looking for policy reviews. I've reopened a number of claims in different states because of that and everything. So
did you hear that number? Over 500,000 views.
What?
Now, Mike, up until that time, what was your highest number of views?
Like 25,000.
And Mike, when you started, how many views were you getting on your initial videos that you did and you just kept plugging away at?
If I got 1,000, I was happy.
Yeah. And the first ones were like 25 to 50.
Probably never that low, but it probably was starting. I was probably looking at around 300 or 400 right before that video. Now, pretty much, if I do something that's interesting, I'm getting at least 1,000.
It doesn't happen overnight, but when it does click, it's going to click big for you. And you're going to, it gets to be kind of fun trying to manage it all, right, Mike?
Well, yeah. I mean, you start getting more responses and you also have to be more prepared to be challenged about things. So,
yep.
There's a lot of people who think they know everything out there and things like that. So
can you put your TikTok information? I would love to see what some of your videos look like.
Yeah. Sure
so
can.
Put it into the chat, and if you guys open up your chat, you'll see Mike's profile or one of his videos, and you can click in on him, or I don't know what it's called, follow him or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, follow.
Yeah, like I said, I just recently joined, so I don't know that much about it. I would love to see what your videos look like.
So we have like 3 or 4 people in the company that are doing TikTok on a pretty good basis. Mike and a guy named Anthony are probably the top guys right now on TikTok from a Metro perspective. Carolyn is doing real well as well. So there are several people doing good on TikTok, and it's a great medium if you know what you're doing on there, or if you at least are persistent, but you've got to be persistent. You've in any of these things. If you do Facebook, you've just got to be persistent. You've got to post a couple of times a day. If you're doing LinkedIn, you've got to post at least once a day. You've got to spend an hour, looking at other people's posts or commenting on other people's posts. You've got to spend the time. But if you do that, there is a payback. But again, you've got to work at it. So if that's something of interest to you, I highly recommend that you spend some time with it. Referrals is really the bread and butter of our business. When you are doing a conversation with anyone, you should always be saying, do you know of anybody anybody else who could benefit from this information or from this conversation? That's always something that you should be asking. I've done several recent trainings with new people, and at right after the presentation, I'll say, by the way, given how much you spent on this meeting, do you know anyone else who could benefit from the same kind of meeting? I promise I'll charge them the same amount, which of course is, zero, but it makes them laugh. And then what they do is they end up saying, yeah, I've got 3 or 4 names. At that point, I then say to the trainee, once we're done with the meeting, I want you to call them back and get the contact information for those 3 or 4 people. That's your business. Those 3 to 4 people may include someone who has had a major smoke event in their home, or who had a burst pipe, or had a fire, or whatever it is. But that could be a really good claim. You've just got to be able to be willing to make sure everybody knows what you do, because that's the only way you can protect everyone that you know. You've got to do probably 20 appointments before you're going to start seeing good referrals, because you got to learn how to follow up, and it takes time. So you're going to have to plot through this, and it helps to have a trainer help you through this process. You want to proactively network. What does that mean? Well, as I said, nobody knows what we do. Nobody. So it's always in your interest to let people know what you're doing. And at this point, you're training, you're learning how to be a public adjuster. So do you know how to explain what you do in 30 seconds or less? Robert, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you do? Okay, that's interesting. How do you do that? You see, now that poses a question. All right. I don't know whether she can do it or not. I'm going to ask Les. Go for it. Tell me what you do in 30 seconds.
So what I normally do is, when I talk to people, when they ask me what I do, I'm like, hey, are you a homeowner? And hopefully the answer is usually yes, because it makes my life easy. But so, hey, are you a homeowner? Yeah, I am. You need me. What do you mean I need you? Well, I can guarantee you that there's probably insurance claims that I can get you money on, and I can help you get that money from your insurance company and be your advocate. And they're like, well, what things? And then I can go on to some examples, be like, hey, have you ever put the grill too close to your siding and melted it? Do you have children? Have they ever overflowed the toilet with their toys? Have you ever spilled bleach on your carpet? And then they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, here's my business card. Let's talk.
Good. Mike, 30 seconds.
I think I'd probably just steal your method, which is
Go for it.
now I'm going to mess it all up. You put me on the spot. you know when people have damage to their homes and they don't have the money to pay for it? Well, yeah. Well, I could probably get you the money to pay for that. Oh, how?
Perfect.
And opens up the
Perfect.
questions.
That's my 30-second one. You've almost done it perfectly. So here's what it is. If you got a pen and paper, write it down. The formula is this. Quote, you know when ... What I do is ... That's the formula. So now let me fill in the blanks for you. Let's say, for example, I'm meeting with someone who's in real estate like Les. What I might say to her is, well, you know, when you're dealing with a client who has damage in their home and they are not willing to make the repairs so that you can sell the house properly, what I do is I help that homeowner find the money so it doesn't have to come out of their pocket. Ooh, that's interesting. How about a roofer? Well, you know, when a client has damage that occurs to their roof and they have to wait for the insurance company to figure out whether they're going to pay for it before you can start the job. What I do is I take that job off of your table and take care of that client during the insurance process so that I can maximize how much money they make so that they can have enough money to pay for you to repair their roof once the insurance money comes in. Pretty cool. How about a financial planner? You know, when you have a client who owns a home and they have damage occur to the home and they have to take money out of their investments so that they can make those repairs, and therefore you end up losing income. What I do is I help the client find money outside of their investments so that those investments can stay put in your portfolio. Ooh, that's nice. You see how that formula works in almost every situation. You know when ... What I do is ... Great job, Mike. Renee, give me your 30-second.
I don't have it right now.
Oh man, you just let me down. All right.
I know, I'm not feeling too hot today.
You kind of look kind of down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're on. I hope we make you feel better.
Thanks.
Based on what you look like, you can't look but feel worse.
Oh.
She's good.
You know paybacks, you know what?
And I know I will get it. Drive-bys.
He's being a peckerhead.
Oh, drive-bys. So we don't often talk a lot about drive-bys, but one thing you're going to notice is that as you become stronger as a public adjuster, you're going to notice things like what's behind Robert. You know, you're going to notice when a tree is on a house. You're going to notice when there's a blue tarp on a roof. You're going to notice when shingles are missing from a roof or when siding is missing. You're going to notice when outside damage is present in a home. Your eyes are just going to start going to it. And it's involuntary. You can't even stop it from happening. As you're driving, you've got to be careful that you stop at the stop sign because you're looking at all these roofs go by. But those are all potential clients.
Quick question.
Yes.
So is it in our company, is it normal for someone to just like literally be driving home from, I don't know, a grocery store and like, oh, wow, I've noticed that this person's shingles look very bad. Let's just randomly, pull up to their house and let them know what I do and so on. Is that normal at all?
So I can't answer you only in one way. I can say that I have never done that. Okay.
Is there a reason why?
Because I don't like it.
Okay.
I just got to reopen doing something like that because
there you go.
The homeowner had the blue tarp on their roof, and it was my hometown, and I said, "Let me go knock on the door." Well, one thing led to another, and I have a reopen on that right now. The tree fell on his house. He had damage to his roof and everything, and we believe he's got a cracked foundation. And so now
some people, the
we're looking to
bottom
fight
line,
to get him more.
So the bottom line, Alex, is that some people like doing it. And for those people that like doing it, it is tremendous.
I see. Okay.
If you
So
don't like doing it,
okay, thank you. No, so definitely a strategy, just not one that you like to personally use yourself.
yeah,
I get it, Paul.
there's
Thank
over
you.
20.
You be
Thank you,
you.
sir.
You be you.
Thank you, guys.
There's 20 or more different ways that you can get claims. You're not going to do them all, but find the ones that work for you and do them, and then add one or two every once in a while just to kind of change things up. Believe it or not, the majority of people will answer the door and will talk to you, just like Mike said. They're just going to do it. People are, for the most part, friendly. Now, there's etiquette in how to do it properly. We do teach you that. If you want to know how to do that, we can teach you. I can tell you that I have built solar energy companies with door-to-door solicitation as the primary source of lead generation. So I know how to do it. I've done it. I've done it for years, building those companies, but I just don't like doing it. So I don't do it anymore. But I can teach you the etiquette. I can teach you to do it, and I can do it with you. So that's not something I'm afraid of or anything like that. It's just, I don't like it.
Hey, Paul, a question for you.
Yeah.
There's a town by me in Broadway that they actually need a permit in order to solicitate. How do we go about getting around that?
So your license is a state license to solicit. So in some cities, they do want you may want to contact the police department and say, listen, I'm a public adjuster with a license to solicit. I would like to be working in these blocks. I just wanted to let you know that I was doing that. Do you need to know any additional information from me? That's the legal term, Robert. That's the legal term. When someone goes door to door, that's called a solicitation. So yeah, that's why I use it. So the public adjusting license that you will earn by taking the test has two components. The first component is the solicitation component. That is actually the component you're using as a claims rep. That's the component I use as a regional manager. The other side of that is called negotiation, and that's the field adjuster side of the equation. We don't do that unless you become a field adjuster. Now, I happen to be a field adjuster as well, and so I use the full license. And you can get paid by Metro for being a field adjuster. And if you're in California, Colorado, Indiana, some of these other states, we really need field adjusters. And you can earn over 50% of the company fee when you become a field adjuster. That's a lot of money, guys. Every claim, that's a lot of money. So it's to your benefit to do it if you want, but you don't have to. Doing fires. Fires are like the traditional public adjuster work. We have a fire team. There are certain procedures that you need to follow when you do a fire. Because fires are where the traditional public adjuster exists, it's the most highly regulated portion of our business. For example, you cannot run a fire unless you have your badge around your neck. Not in your wallet, not in a briefcase. Your badge actually has to be on a lancet around your neck. It has to be visible. There are in certain states, it is illegal for you to solicit a fire victim within the first 24 hours. In some states, you can't do it after 8 o'clock at night. So there's a lot of different things about it. There's different things that you need as far as equipment to run a fire properly. So we have decades and decades of experience running fires. One of the top fire adjusters in the country works for us. His name is Jamal. And he earns over $500,000 a year running fires with Metro. He is known as the fire god. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He drives up to the home in his brand new Mercedes 500 class car, and he gets a new one every year, every other year. He has a 3-piece suit he wears when he's doing his work. And when the other public adjusters see that he's on site, they just walk away because they know they're not going to get the claim. He's going to earn their business. There's things that you can do as a public adjuster to support a fire victim. You can pay for hotel rooms. You can pay for a cell phone. There's things that you can provide the client. You need to learn those as part of learning how to do a fire. So if this is of interest, then you're going to take the time to learn. I wouldn't worry about doing these until after you get your license. Get your license, get your promotion, and then start learning how to do a fire. If you do a fire before you're a senior claims rep, that's an impressive thing. Most fires are done by senior claims reps or higher because simply you don't have the wherewithal to talk to a client properly, typically until you've got some work under your belt, until you've done some business. Papering a neighborhood. Let's say, for example, my town got hit by a hailstorm, or my neighborhood got hit by a hailstorm, and there are 20 or 30 homes in my neighborhood that have all been damaged by hail. I may decide to go and put a brochure in each of the screen doors so that they would know that I was available. I might try to meet with everybody. I might put a brochure together and have a little sheet of paper that I put inside the door. If you do something on your own, the only thing that we request is that you make sure that the verbiage is approved. You may say, well, why is that important? Well, because it could cost you a lot if you don't have it approved. Let me give you an example. How many of you guys know this guy named John Mesko? Probably most of you. John Mesko, when he was early on in his career, had a hailstorm occur in a neighborhood nearby him. He went to the post office and bought a mailing list for that neighborhood. And he put a little 3x5 card together and had that sent out with the mail to every home in that neighborhood. And he had it signed, John Mesko, public adjuster. Only there wasn't enough room to put the full public adjuster in there. So he just put in PA. Well, somebody took offense at him having PA after his name and made it known to the Department of Insurance and Banking. PA in New Jersey is a specific term used for a public accountant.
Oh.
John is not a public accountant. The Department of Insurance and Banking fined him and sued him to lose his license.
Wow.
Okay. Metro paid for the legal fees so that he could keep his license. But John had to come out of pocket over $5,000 to pay that fine.
Yeah, no.
Okay. How
Are
many of
there
you guys have
things-
$5,000 sitting around in a bank account ready to pay to your local state government? I don't see anybody raising their hand.
No,
So don't do it. Have your verbiage approved. Something stupid like that could be very, very expensive. It's actually illegal to put something in. Notice when I said when you canvassed that you would put it in the screen door. Do not use the mailbox. The mailbox is for legal postal information. And your brochure, unless it was delivered by the postman, does not belong in the post in your mailbox. Again, it could result in a fine, and could be very expensive. Thanks,
In
Robert.
regards to like I guess advertising yourself, what about like through social media? Do we have any restrictions?
You don't. As a trainee, you cannot state that you're a public adjuster,
Of course, yes.
and you can't advertise public adjusting services that you would be providing. You can advertise yourself as a hiring manager, okay? Because each one of you is. I now designate you hiring manager, but each of you is a hiring manager. Each of you is a trainee, so you can state that you're a trainee and that you are working with a public adjuster. You just cannot state that you're a public adjuster. The safest thing is not to advertise until you have your license. That's, if you don't have to, just don't do it. And get your license as quick as you can. All right, Alex, where do you live?
I live in Florida, but I'm getting my license in Wisconsin.
So you can get your license tomorrow. All you have to do is take the test.
hmm
So schedule it and take it. Each of you should schedule your tests within the next 3 to 4 weeks. If you don't have your test scheduled right now, tomorrow, your job is to schedule your exam for 3 to 4 weeks from today, and then get all your study materials so that you can study for your exam.
Oh, that's right. We need to schedule it ahead of time.
Yes,
You
you
make
do.
a good point. Okay, that's right.
Hey, Paul,
Especially if you want that $1,000 bonus, schedule it out now. Yes, Renee.
And that, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
do
Go ahead,
you
Renee.
understand what's going on with Maryland? We are having some issues. Big
I don't know.
time.
We'll have to talk off channel on that. From what I understand, there hasn't been any change to Maryland. I asked Janice, and she said there are no changes. I asked Barrett Matthews. He said there are no changes. So I need to find out a little bit more detail from you. We can talk later, maybe tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
Uh,
Oh, I want to talk to Alex, and then your turn.
you know what? Hey, all these people have been asking questions. I've been just unmuting myself, interrupting you. Let them go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, Robert, hit me up. So you can get a badge once you get a license. You Metro will print out a badge for you. I think it's like $1 or $2 or something like that, and give it to you on a Lancet. And it's nice. It's got a nice cover to it, so it's weather resistant. But you can get that once you get your license. Metro will provide you a badge. $10. Okay.
And if they forget, ask for it, because mine got forgotten and I asked and they said, oh, and then they did it. It was, but no, you need it. I didn't know.
Yep. All right. Next one. So I have a bunch of advertising material that I can make available to you guys. Depending upon what you want, just, ring me up and we can talk it through.
Louisiana.
Louisiana. Who's your trainer?
I was just given your name and told to sign up.
Okay. Interesting. All right. We'll talk afterwards. Louisiana's a tough state. So I will maybe, so is Florida. And that's why Alex is getting his licenses in Wisconsin. So maybe there's something we can do for you on that as well. So
Okay.
let's talk afterwards. All right. Again, I would get with your trainer tomorrow, schedule or call them, get with them. And that's a whole different topic, but there's a couple of slides or a couple of documents you can get that go through exactly what you need to do in order to get that bonus. In fact, If you get on the president's call tonight at 9 o'clock, he'll go through it.
Yes, I am. I don't have one yet,
Okay.
except for
Alabama's another-
Paul.
Alabama's another state that's tough. We got to talk to you about that afterwards too. So
Right? Well, tell me about Tennessee.
let's talk tomorrow because we'll get you a state, but it's not going to be Alabama or Tennessee. Okay, go ahead. All right. Home shows. So home shows are another great source of business and also of recruits. Metro will pay the costs of the booth. All you have to do is commit to the time for being in the booth, and you don't have to do it the whole time. Robert and I and Les and Mike have done booths together where we would split up the time amongst the four of us so that somebody was in the booth all the time. Whoever was in the booth got the leads that were generated at that time. Home shows, even if you don't actually do a booth, but if you actually just attend it, bring your trifolds. I was looking to see if I've got one easily available to show, and I don't see one. Hey, I don't have one here. But yeah, here's
I got mine, Paul. Here, you can use mine.
here. So this is a trifold. And what you do is you put your name on the back of it. Okay. So you've got contact information. You bring that to a home show. And when you're talking to people, you hand it out. This is my business card. I actually don't use a business card. Why? Because this has, because of the green screen, a lot of this is in green, so it's not going to come out real well. But it has all of the information about what's covered in a claim, what's covered in an insurance policy. All those things are in this. So it's a nice little hand giveaway when you're with a client. They can put it with their insurance policy. When you're at a show, it reminds people why they should be talking to you. These are very inexpensive. It's a full 2-page, front and back color document. And I think, what is it? 20 cents a piece or 10 cents a piece? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
$40 for 500 of them.
right. And they're very useful. Get 500.
It is. I'm on my like 6th or 7th box. This is good. This is good stuff. So when you get your license, I recommend this and not a business card. Now, Les uses a business card because she also uses that for her real estate business, but she also has trifolds and she hands out trifolds as well.
So Paul, would you use that same thing like if you go to a meetup group?
Yeah. Anytime. I have them in my briefcase. I have them in my car, in the door pocket. I have my wife has them. My daughter has them. Okay. This is your calling card. This is what you want.
What do you call that? What's it
It's called
called?
the trifold.
Trifold?
Yep. That's in the company. If you talk about a trifold, this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Now, a few of us are talking to Steve about updating it because the fonts on this are like 1990s and the pictures are about 1700. No, they're old, but it needs to be updated. But it's still valuable the way it is. I would never discourage you from using it because of that. It's still very, very valuable. You use that, go to a flea market, carry this around. Who goes to flea markets? People that own homes go to flea markets. People that own homes go to flea markets. It's a perfect place to meet people. Now, you may say, but I don't naturally meet people very well. Okay, so go to somebody's booth who's got some I don't know, maybe they're selling cell phone covers, okay? And there's a bunch of people at the booth. And you say, What do you think about this cover to the person standing next to you? Do you think that they're going to respond to you? Probably. Do you think now you can start a conversation with them? By the way, what are you looking for anything in particular here at this flea market?
There you go.
You know, that's a great way of starting a conversation. And then you can move that conversation into either your work or into a future telephone call or conversation. Speaking engagements. Robert and I are like known in the company as the king of realtor conventions. We talk to realtor groups more than just about anybody else in the company. Why? Because both of us have had incredible success talking with realtors. They're always looking for somebody to talk to them. They have every Tuesday or every Wednesday, they have a sales meeting. And they're always looking for somebody to talk to them during those sales meetings. Ryan, don't push your head too far. I don't want to see it fall off, okay? But that's a great place to meet people, to do these real estate meetings. Community groups are constantly looking for speakers. Rotary, Elks Club, JCs, libraries. You can actually reserve a library room and talk to people about insurance policies. Homeowners associations. They're always looking for ways of showing value to the homeowners in their group. Have a business warming party, set up a Zoom meeting and just say, hey, listen, I just started off as a public adjuster. I want to introduce you to what I'm doing. I've got one of the top executives in the company who's going to be talking. The Zoom meeting is, Monday at whatever, or Thursday, or I'm doing it at 6:30 tonight. I'd love to have you participate and tell me what you think. Great. Then you have me or somebody else do that meeting for you. And you now have people that are going to have interest in this business, both maybe as for getting hired, maybe for doing policy reviews. Do them in person, do them in your home. We used to do these home parties all the time. Business receptions. Thank you. Oh my gosh, my age is starting to show. See, I got to be bad like my dad so I can live to be 95 too. Professional networking. Robert is the king of this. He has so many groups that he participates in, or at least he had. I don't know if he still can because of his job, but he's done more business in Chicago remotely simply because he now has groups out there that know him. Go ahead. You just looked like you wanted to say something. He speaks the truth. I've been in sales for 30 years, over 30 years, and I have never had somebody just call me outright. Well, so trifold story. When I moved to Kearney, my daughter, I had to enroll her in the school system here. And so I went to the Board of Education and met with one of the administrators, which is, I think, the correct PC term for them now, right? Secretary, whatever. At any rate, I met with her I talked to her. I filled out the application and it said, what do you do professionally? I said, I was a public adjuster. She saw that and she said, I don't think I know what that is. So I told her what I do. She said, that sounds very cool. I don't have a home, but I sometimes need people like that. Do you have a card? I didn't, but I had my trifold. I gave her 3 trifolds. That was when my daughter was in 7th grade. Fast forward to now she's in 9th grade or 10th grade. I get a telephone call from somebody. He says, you don't know me, but a tree fell on my pool and on my house, and I was told that you might be able to help me. I said, well, how did you get my name? Well, I work as a custodian at the school system, and somebody had your trifold in the administration office, and they gave it to me.
Very cool.
One
Wow.
15-minute conversation. I never told her anything more than just giving her the brochure and telling her I was a public adjuster.
Yeah.
And I got a $30,000 claim out of it.
Wow. That's fascinating.
It's beautiful.
That's a great story.
So all these people need us. They don't know that they need us. They don't know that we live. So you have to introduce yourself to all of these different people, or at least to the ones that you're interested in getting to know. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I get a lot of claims by recruiting people. Once you're in a position where you can start building a team and doing the training for that team. What does it take to do that, Paul? Well, it means you have to have your license, guys. Okay. Again, take the test. How many of you guys are scared of taking the test because it's a standardized test and you guys went to school and you hated testing as a school kid and now you're scared to death of a test?
Hate tests.
All right. Get over it. This is not school anymore. This is not school. You're not going to go to the principal's office if you fail. If you fail, all that means is you got to take it again. Only now you know what to study because you know what you missed. All right. I don't care. I just want you to take it. If you fail, I'm going to be your biggest advocate. Okay. If you pass, I'm going to be your biggest advocate. If you don't take it, screw you.
Yeah. Fair. Fair.
He might not have
I
one
don't.
yet. He might not have one yet because he we have some people on who are evaluating it too. So we'll talk again. You and I are going to talk tomorrow. You got to call me tomorrow, okay, James?
What's the number?
908-922-0131.
Nine 908-922-0131.
That's correct. Good memory.
No, I just put it in the chat. I just wrote it down.
All right. That's my number. That's my real number. So if any of you guys abuse it, I'm going to hurt you. Okay. Because I have a marketing number that I normally hand out. The number on this, and by the way, I had this conversation with Melissa earlier today. The number on this is my 409-1957 number. That is a Google number. Okay. I use that for my marketing. Why? Because I don't want my real number showing up on a bathroom stall. Okay. I want, so, what is it? 857-676-309. What is that? That song, Jenny?
8675309.
Jenny.
No, I don't want somebody writing a song about my telephone number. Okay. So you can get, so you can get a Google telephone number for free. Okay. If you have a Gmail account, all you need is a Gmail account and you can get a Google telephone number, attach it to your cell phone number so that when somebody rings that number, it's going to ring your cell phone. All right. So I highly recommend you do that. It's free. Why not? You don't even have to have it in the same zip code. Let's say, for example, you're Alex and you live in Florida, but you're going to get a Wisconsin license. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a, what is it, 414? I forgot. What's the zip, the area code up there? I can't remember now. But anyway, wouldn't it be nice if you had an area code in Wisconsin for your
715.
marketing? What is it?
715.
715 is one of the newer ones. There's another one. I can't remember it. But anyway,
They have it's fine. It doesn't
yeah.
matter.
So at any rate, whatever it is, wouldn't it be nice if he had a local number that somebody was calling? Would they feel more comfortable that they were dealing with somebody locally less? Don't you think that? She's got a Florida telephone number. That's why I say that.
I have two phones. I have a business phone for my real estate, Metro, and pet sitting, and then I have my personal phone. My personal phone is a 386 number, so that's why I did it. Because when I started with my pet sitting and real estate, they were like, "What is 386?"
Yeah.
And I'm in Jersey, so I got the two phones.
So she can actually get, with two phones, you can actually get two Google telephone numbers too. And you can attach one to each of the phones.
I was thinking about that too. I just figured it also that means that it's going to be more expensive as well
What do you mean?
for you to have to pay for two different phones to do this.
Oh yeah. So that's why if you do the Google, you don't have to pay for the second phone.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Oh, you do make a good point. I didn't think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning
what
I just
I'm
have to buy the phone. I don't actually have to pay for any sort of
Did I
monthly
mention, did I
Yeah.
mention that when I started this business, I was broke?
Yeah.
You do make a good point. Not 5 grand, all your money, taken.
You cannot spend your money stupidly. So be smart about it. If you can get a free telephone number, use it. If you can have Metro pay for your licensing fees, let them do it.
Paul, you said something about the recruiting. I thought I heard you say something about not till you get your license.
No, you can recruit at any time. I'm just saying that you can train and get claims once you have your license. You can become the trainer.
Oh, okay, okay,
All right. You cannot become a trainer until you have your license.
okay.
And the cool thing about hiring people is the ability to expand your network into their network. Because now a claim that they get credit for, I also get credit for because it's my license that the trainee is writing the claim on. So the trainee gets credit and I get credit. It's a win-win. But you got to have your license in order to do that.
Okay.
All right, listen, I'm just about done here. Being a good Metro rep, I'm going to tell you that if you don't attend these trainings, you're not going to get ahead. I'm not saying that you have to attend mine, but you have to attend training. Do either the corporate or do mine, but do somebody's training every week. Attend the president's call every week. Do something with this business if you can every day. Even if it's a half hour to an hour, do something every day because it'll become a habit. Okay. And if it becomes a habit, you're going to start winning. You really will. And attend all the events. We just got done with convention. I don't want to appear to be a hypocrite. I did not attend convention, but you guys all know that my dad has problems and I was out on the West Coast seeing him. So I have a very good excuse. But normally I wouldn't accept any excuse for missing convention. You got to go to convention. So be enthusiastic. This is fun. You got to believe in what you do. This is great work. We are helping people in a way that they cannot help themselves. Be open-minded. Be willing to change yourself if that's what it takes so that you can earn a living that you have only dreamed about in the past. Set goals. Be specific about what you want to do every week. Think about it on Sunday night. What am I going to do this week with Metro? What can I do? And if you can't figure it out, call me or call your trainer and say, hey, listen, what should be my goals this week? I told Melissa what her goals were. All right. Anybody who's on my team, you can ask me what you need to do. In fact, Melissa, we had somebody else on the call too, right? And I told her what her goal was for tomorrow, right?
Right.
I believe in goals. You've got to have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you have nowhere that you're going. You've got to have a direction. Feel good about what you do because it is great. Be competitive. Be aware of self-improvement. Be aware of opportunities where you can be better. And if you're having a bad day, do something good for yourself. All right. Hey, listen, it's been a pleasure doing this. I got to get off because we got an 8 o'clock